we'll go for the entertainment factor if nothing else, right?
Looks pretty much like Ernie Els to me so far.
There you go. All right, so let's just have a look because I got things I'm thinking about. You know that. So this is a little feedback on your setup. Okay, maybe reaching just a little bit here. Something we'll look at maybe. Front view. Let's look at this first. Okay, this is a little feedback on your favorite subject, the takeaway. And we know that you've heard Dan has kind of migrated from let's get that thing figured out to Dan doesn't care as much as he used to. I'm talking about this Dan,
Yeah, I know.
remember?
Yeah.
So, remember the sins of the backswing can be forgiven with the downswing?
Mhm.
Okay, so let's just give you a little feedback how it's looking, because I know what you're trying to do. Let's just see how it looks for your eyes to see, well, this is one of my swing thoughts. Let's see how it's looking. So overall, I give you an improved look there from old days, right?
Yeah.
The thing was going way.
out, yeah.
So efforts looking pretty good there. That's first feedback. Shaft's in pretty good shape as far as on plane, and what I mean by that is you've got a pretty steep move with your hands, but the shaft plane, if you watch the club shaft, it's staying kind of parallel to our yellow line, which is, that's desirable. That's pretty much on plane. So far, that's going to be a pretty good golf shot.
Yeah, it's working.
Okay, so let's just move on to the next one so you don't have to see the result. Just kidding. So then it just gets a little, see how it's a little bit steep going out. Again, I'm being technical, but in terms of the fixes for the certain shots, you get a lot of what they call lag. Now that's coming down, for the most part, on plane. Now, in terms of how the path of the club head is kind of coming in that area. So here's where there's two things that I think, where your arms are now, we've talked about, versus where they started. I mean, just look at where everything is compared to where you started. So how much, see how your head moves in a little bit?
Yep.
Okay, and then when that lead arm comes back into impact, we see you in a different body position than when we started. Okay, things have moved out that way a little bit, and that's a function of, if you look at where your hips are at impact, they're looking right at the ball.
Yep.
Okay,
So you have to.
perfect world, we're rotated open on our left leg. Your body movement, which is kind of what I want to get into today a little bit. Your body movement is basically, here's my setup. I have movement going back, but then by the time I get back to the ball, my body, for the most part, looks exactly like my setup. Okay, so we're kind of flat-footed, if you notice.
Yep.
Not a huge. So that tells me a player like that. A, it's common, what I see every day. B, it's a player whose intuitiveness of playing golf is from up here.
Yeah.
Everything's up here as far as what they relate to golf. And the good players who are good ball strikers, they have lower movement too. They don't necessarily think about it. They were just properly trained, if you will, to do that to begin with. So that's, I just call that, there's a particular style. Now, when we put it on the front view of that impact, so your body turns, right? Everything's looking pretty good there. And then just everything uncoils from the top. And by the time you get to the bottom, you see how that shaft is going. It tells us you got just a little. All right, so now you see how you hit it so high. The hands are a little behind the ball, and you've done the release. Shaft goes whoop,
Yep.
And we catch it on the upswing, and there it goes up there. In addition to the fact that you have good club speed, so that ball flight goes down if we're more at this angle. If the hands are more here, which you see the good players do, and the shaft is more there with it. Hands ahead of the club head at impact in the perfect world. Okay, so not your style. Now, there's your weight shift though. Your weight shift's on your left leg. It's not like you haven't, it's not like you're going backwards, a reverse shift. You don't have a whole lot of rotation with your hips, okay? But, and I think that if we just were staying right there, we'd be okay. But watch what happens after that with impact, and we'll see now how the hands kind of flip the club, and then your left arm kind of starts, it stops, and then we get that little chicken wing. Yep. All right, so that's what that feeling right there of stop, right? It's just as opposed to through. So every time I look at your swing live, trained eye, right, I see impact and after issues that are a result of where we're at impact. Okay, so that's kind of a little body focus for me to kind of, and we talked, remember the drills we used to do with getting the arms out with the little wedge shots, right? So this is exactly why you're going to get away with this a little bit more of a full swing because of movements and speed and so forth, but those little finesse distance control shots, those are tough for you with that impact. So that picture is not going to look any different than what we've seen before. So if I drew a picture there and say, all right, let's just see what a good player looks like in that position, just so we can say we did it. This is kind of a guy who does a good job with his legs. And again, the reason they're good is because they do everything right. But you see how he's going to get off that back foot, rotate, and watch there. So basically, you've still got the brakes put on here for the turn part. Okay. Now that's a function of our body types, our level of flexibility, blah blah blah. Okay, so there's reasons why those things are happening. But look how close his knees are together. So anytime I see big wide knees like that, that tells me we haven't had too much rotation at this part in the swing. Okay. And I think his arms are going out, even though I want us to work on it as a specific thought and feel with some drills. His arms are actually reacting to centrifugal force, which is outward motion, based on how the core is moving it. He's not trying to do that. There's just enough speed down there, and there's enough, the body's looking at the target more, where they are reacting in a straight manner, and the club gets released better, and so on and so forth. So there's your two different skill levels of impact right there. Joe Amateur on the right, and good ball striker on the left. Now watch how this is where you kind of feel like you get a little bunched up here, and you don't feel like you finish. So all that part of your swing kind of came in here, and everything else was good here. As far as getting width, getting coil. I mean, for the most part, just seeing your backswing, we're fine. Good, we're way good enough to be where you want to go. Right. So I think it's from here, impact, and after is a couple good segments to kind of dwell on a little bit, and up to me to come up with some tricky ways to get you to do it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Reincarnation.
Yeah, it's just I got to fool you into doing it right. So that's just a good image of kind of where we're at. And again, you look at any of the old videos we've done before, So now you've got a preferred forward press there, which kind of sets your wrist angle, so by the time you bring that thing back, you're setting the wrist good. Now, where we get into our problem with our flexibility, I say we, because we're all there, is sometimes that takeaway sometimes we get a little tall, don't we?
Yeah.
Right? So now that's going to influence the bottom of the swing somehow. You got to make up for that somehow. And if you remember from the back view, your arms are coming up and reaching quite a bit too. So now we're a bit taller than when we started. We're a little bit more out. So, that lends itself to plenty of thin shots.
Mm-hmm.
So, when we get those thins, that distance from that radius kind of changed a little bit. So, a lot of this is kind of how the body's moving around. Let's see what we can. Let's do this. Let's see some driver swing here. So, it's going to be same deal, different club. But the ball's on tee.
Yeah.
You get away with it a little bit more, right?
Yeah.
So the biggest deal with the driver is, can we get the club face square at impact? That's true with everyone. So let's just see how your playing looks here. A little bit of reach there. I want to maybe we're looking at those arms hanging underneath you a little bit more. We've talked about that before. So you're getting plenty of turn, almost to the point where it's making you stand up in your efforts to turn.
Yeah.
Your body's saying, I can't turn that much and stay tilted, okay? But it's a common swing thought. You're getting the club set well at the top. It's not bad. It's a little... coming from the inside, but those arms are really up there and the body's just kind of looking at the target. So depending on how you kind of from swing to swing get that club face manipulated at impact, because we're not machines. Basically we see your body kind of going into it, your arms going out. So there's a chance that ball's going to go right unless that club just gets squared up nicely. Okay. So if you look at our misses, which you hear me talk about a lot, and many times we're just erratic both ways. But if we kind of work at saying, all right, let's get rid of one of those misses and make a one-way miss, we call it. That would be something we could aim off of. All right, side view of the driver. I do want to get this driver set up different because the ball's on a tee. I want to get you more middle here because I don't want to be coming down on it like an iron.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll kind of get that neutralized a little bit so the shaft can be a little bit more here. So when it comes in there, it's coming in on a more level plane down there. We got just a little. I want to see if we can kind of relate to what it feels like to not stay there as long, and which means you stay here too long. Just see what that, and we'll probably do it with our wedge game. Those little 30, 40-yard wedges, where instead of here, we'll be more here and there. So it's kind of like impact and after. So we'll take today and just say, forget about everything. It's impact and after is what we want to feel. We want to feel a body movement that's different. We want to see if the arms respond to that differently, but we'll also take the arms as a separate segment and say, I'm going to get them out there.
Mhm.
Let's work on that today. Good pictures to kind of tell you